Sound Off.
Rated T14.
Welcome back to Sound Off, heard every Saturday morning, and we are sponsored every week by Carolina Teen Health. And our topic this morning is a real serious topic. We're talking about date rape. And at this time, for those people that might just be tuning in, studio audience, would you like to introduce yourselves, please?
Javante, Tanisha,
Brianna,
Ruby,
Melissa,
Bevelyn, Crystal.
During the break, I was asking Officer Detective Garcia about no should mean no. When we talk about date rape, I mean, if someone says no, it should mean no. So I want to ask, what are some defense mechanism? I mean, how can a young lady or young man defend themselves if, in fact, they are being sexually assaulted or raped?
You know, fight them off. Kick, punch, bite. Nails are great. If you dig your nails into somebody, you're going to get their skin underneath your nails, and, you know, we'll get that DNA from them for a later comparison. So, you know, do what you need to do to protect your life.
All right, I have a question. What advice would you give a parent What advice would you give a parent that has a child that has been sexually assaulted or raped?
Well, first of all, parents need to, try to always know when where their kids are at all times. But one of the things that parents should do is talk to children about safe touch that doesn't feel like it's right. So, and even small children can be taught correct body parts. So if someone touches them in the wrong way, that they will at least know that. But the most important thing I think that a parent could do is to educate that small child about whether or not they feel safe, good touch, bad touch. And we do have lots and lots of information at our office that we could pass on if we needed to about that.
Okay, is there a number? Because I know you don't have time to give all that information. Is there a hotline, or is there a support group, or some type of information you can give out to the public?
We have our number, and it's 448-7273. That is our crisis line. You can call that 24 hours, 7 days a week. There are counselors there who will speak with you, and if that's typically the line that our crisis calls come in on. So if there is an assault, if there is a rape, that's the line that we usually get the calls on for us to go to the hospital and be there while that victim goes through that forensic kit, and while she sits there and goes through all of the investigative information that the police officer will be picking up at that time.
Okay, and that's 843, right?
843.
Okay. Javante, you had something else?
Okay, how would you handle a situation where, say, there's two people in a relationship, but they're in distant age, say 15 and 20 or so, and they're having a good relationship, everything's going right, up until the point where one of them gets mad and wants to call rape? How do y'all handle that situation?
Well, we see that, unfortunately, we see that, all too much. But, when you're dealing with a 21-year-old or a 20-year-old and a 15-year-old, you're dealing with statutory rape here. That's because that person is not 16 and cannot give consent. So there are times when people do get angry and they feel like they want to get back at the situation. But you better know what you're doing when you make that call, because you can be putting somebody's son in danger. You can be ruining their lives forever. So what you want to do is you want to think twice about doing something like that, because when the police officers get involved, they will get to the bottom of what's going on. So if you have any intentions of trying to set anyone up, I think that you should think twice.
Absolutely, because we will investigate it thoroughly, and if we find out that the claim is false, that person's going to be arrested for making a false claim. And
Ruby, you're looking really, really serious and confused. What's your take on all this, Ruby?
Well, honestly, I'm just blown away. I think a lot of this information will help other people out here. I think what we don't realize is that anybody can be the actual victim or the actual,
Perpetrator.
Perpetrator. Okay, but we don't know. It can be anybody. It can be anybody in this room that we can go home maybe a month or two and we'll actually be victims. We don't know about it. And I'm just really blown away of how, especially Melissa's story, how she said that she didn't report it, and it's just like she wished she should have.
But I did. I mean, I didn't report it, and I should have.
hindsight's 2020, but I did go and get checked by my gynecologist, and got all my regular STD and my extensive HIV AIDS testing, because I am very aware of my body and my health issues and everything. And I did eventually seek help through a rape counselor, and they did give me a lot of great helpful advice and ways to overcome what I had gone through. It took some time, but I did seek the help that was necessary.
Okay.
One of the things that I think Melissa did was right was, to decide that, after going through all of the stress that she went through, she found that it was very important to get some kind of counseling before she can move on with any other relationship. So it's very, very, very important for the listening audience to understand that, the Rape Crisis Center, we're located in Horry and Georgetown counties. We do provide counseling for individuals and for families. So if anyone is going through anything of that nature, you need not think that it's going to go away. It's not going to go away, like Melissa said. And just be mindful that there are services out there that are at no cost to the victim. And that's one of the reasons, too, we need to stress that if someone is raped, they need to get to a hospital. A lot of times people don't report because they feel like, oh, if I go to the hospital, I'm going to wind up with a hospital bill. Well, don't worry about that. The hospital knows what to do when you get there, and tell them that you have been assaulted, and they will take care of that. And not only that, we will be called in. We have what is called first responders at Rape Crisis Center, which is called a sexual assault response team. And the sexual assault response team actually consists of the law enforcement. It consists of the advocates for rape crisis, also consists of a SANE. And for those of you who don't know what a SANE is SANE, meaning Sexual Assault Nurse Examiner, or FANE, Forensic Assault Nurse Examiner. So what happens is, once that individual gets to the hospital, we have people who are trained to collect that forensic evidence in such a way that if you have to go to court, they can testify in the court of law, because they take all of the necessary forensic pictures. And if somebody has been sexually assaulted, or when someone is sexually assaulted, there are different kinds of types of machines that can actually detect what is going on, and show what is happening within that person's vaginal areas or whatever. But just make sure that, if something like that were to happen, make sure you get to the nearest hospital, and the forensic nurse will take care of what is happening with you, and you'll be better for it.
Okay, Detective Garcia, we're getting close to, running out of time, but that was just really good information that Mrs. Mitchell just gave. So from the law enforcement side, would you care to give the listening audience some advice?
Just like to reiterate, report it immediately. Call law enforcement, and if you don't report it to the police, these people are never going to be punished. And if they're likely to do it once, they're going to do it twice. They're going to do it 3 times, and it's going to keep going until they go to prison. And they receive consequences for their actions. And another major point is, women, men that are sexually assaulted, don't take a shower, because it's essential to get that evidence. Collect that evidence for prosecution of the case.
Okay, and Melissa, as somebody that's been sexually assaulted, I know you gave some good advice, and again, we certainly appreciate the fact that you were able to come in and you were willing to share your story with us. But what would be your closing remarks or advice to the listening audience?
Well, my closing advice would be, don't do what I did. Do better than I did. Should you so happen to be in a situation like I ended up in, just know that it was not your fault. It's not your fault. You have a voice. Hindsight is 2020, but should you have to go through something like that, just know that there are people that will be in your corner, such as the rape counselors and the law enforcement. They are on your side, and they'll be there every step of the way to get you back on right standing and put these people behind bars and, get them off the street so that it doesn't happen to someone else. Because when you don't do it, it trickles. It's a trickling effect. It's hurting someone else. And again, just make sure that you realize always first and foremost that it's not your fault.
Okay, Javante.
Well, I've never been in that situation, but I do believe Melissa gave great advice. And if anyone out there, male or female, has a tendency to get raped, you should call someone immediately. And or if you feel like you've been or will be in that situation, you need to let someone know, whether it's a friend, someone you trust, a parent, a guardian, whoever. Y'all need to tell them immediately and be super aware of your surroundings and what's going on.
I would like to say, since I know several people who've gone through the situation, that just don't feel ashamed of who you are after the situation happens, because I know sometimes you can't control that you've been raped or sexually assaulted, but once it happens, just tell somebody, because you can't stress that enough, and just make sure that you let somebody know and you deal with the situation.
I think all three of y'all gave great advice. I feel like what Javante and Brianna say, you really do need to call somebody. And please don't just sit there and feel like my life is over. Oh my God, this, that, and the third. Go tell somebody, get counseling. Your life isn't over just because of one bad mistake. That was not even your fault.
I agree with her. I think we all should remember, like, we don't know what would happen and when would it happen. I just think that make sure, like they were saying, make sure you call someone, go seek help, go to the hospital.
I believe the most important thing that we can stress here today is that it is not your fault, that rape is a criminal act and it's a crime. And as it was stated here already, anybody could be a victim, but you can be a survivor. So let's take this, whatever it is, from being a victim to remembering that you can, with the necessary services, can become a survivor.
One last thing, and trust your instincts. If you feel like the situation, something's wrong, you're uncomfortable, he's uncomfortable, whatever the case may be, just trust your gut instinct and leave. Who cares what the other person thinks, how they feel. Protect yourself, and remember, no means no.
Rated T14.
My name is Michelle, and when I was 20 years old, one of my best friends raped me while I was drunk. It never crossed my mind that he would be capable of hurting me overtly or even rape me in this type of a situation. Other people that were there, I think, also did not think that that was even possible. And that's why they didn't hesitate to ask him to take care of me, to ask him to get me home. We all trusted him. We all trusted him to do the right thing. It never entered my mind that he would be capable of doing something like this to me.
You've been listening to Sound Off. Now, keep in mind, if you have comments or maybe there is a topic you want us to discuss, or if you would like to support this program, then we would like to hear from you. Simply log on to www.wesoundoff.com. Now, we would like to send out a very special thank you to our sponsor, Carolina Teen Health. Until next Saturday, God bless everybody. And again, you're listening to
Sound Off.
Sound Off.
Rated T14.
You have been listening to Sound Off. Now, we invite you to join us every Saturday morning at 9 a.m.